Nobody respects you. You notice it, even if you don't want to admit it.
It's not that they openly despise you. It's not that they blatantly ignore you. It's worse. They tolerate you. They smile at you out of politeness. They listen to you out of obligation. And you, like many, confuse this with respect. But deep down, you know, if you disappear tomorrow, the world continues, without pause, without impact. And do you know why? Because you never set a limit. You were never predictable. You were never an authority. You were flexible. And in this world, the flexible bend until they break. The truth is brutal. Respect is not begged for. It is imposed. Not with screams, not with violence, with presence, with firmness, with a cold and calculated strategy that even Machiavelli would have envied. Respect does not stem from kindness, nor from affection. It arises from well-managed fear, from consistency in your decisions, from the brutal clarity of your limits. But here's the problem. Most people have limits as blurry as their identity. They contradict themselves. They justify themselves. They bend. And then they cry because no one takes them seriously. I'm going to tell you without anesthesia, if people don't respect you, it's because they are not afraid to fail you. And if they are not afraid to fail you, it's because you never made clear what happens when they do. You are one of those who forgives without consequences, of those who give second, third, fourth chances, until your generosity seems like a joke. Machiavelli made it clear. Those who wish to be loved and feared at the same time tend to end up being despised. Why? Because they try to please while imposing, and that does not work. Respect arises from one thing: predictability. Real authority starts with one rule: predictable punishment. Not emotional, not impulsive, not furious. Predictable. Like the law of gravity. If someone fails you, they know something will happen. And you don't have to shout, you don't have to threaten, you just have to act. Once, twice. And that's it. People learn quickly when consequences are non-negotiable. But you forgive with speeches. You punish with looks. You contradict yourself in action. And every time you do that, your authority disintegrates a little more. Why do you think there are people who raise their voice and the rest go silent? Because they know that person does not hesitate. Because they know that if they cross that line, there's no turning back. But it's not enough to punish. You must also master a more subtle art, the fear of regret. It's not about making them fear you. It's about making them fear disappointing you. That they know if they do, you won't need to shout or humiliate or punish theatrically. You'll just leave them out. No drama, no explanations, and that void will be enough. The absence of someone who commands respect weighs more than the presence of someone who begs for it. Make your loss feared. Let them know that if they fail you, you won't destroy them. You'll simply erase them, as if they had never existed, and that hurts more. Now, here comes the part that separates a leader from a tyrant. The window of redemption. One only. One opportunity to rectify, but clear, limited, non-negotiable. People respect those who punish, but admire those who offer a way out. Of course, only one. Because if you offer more, it's no longer redemption, it's weakness. Those who fail once and learn strengthen. Those who fail 3 times and remain are using you. Give them a second chance, but let them know it's the last one. And if they waste it, it's over. And don't say it. Show it. Respect is not declared, it's built with actions that leave no room for doubt. Most fail in the same way. They punish with rage, they reward with pity, and they break their own rules in the name of love, friendship, compassion, or the fear of being alone. And do you know what they achieve with that? Being seen as fickle, as manipulable, as weak. Because that is what you are when you cannot hold your own decisions, when your hand trembles, when you make exceptions. Authority is not blind rigidity, it's relentless consistency, and that, in a world where most cannot hold even a promise, is pure power. Look around. Notice who receives true respect. It's not the nicest, it's not the most charismatic, it's the firmest, the one who always acts the same, the one who never betrays themselves. Because people do not respect sympathy, they respect structure. People feel safe with someone who doesn't change their mind every week, who doesn't forgive today what they condemned yesterday, who doesn't hug you if yesterday they expelled you. Those people leave a mark, and not for what they say, but for what they uphold. Because true respect is born when you know exactly what to expect from someone, and yet you choose not to cross that line. Respect is not an emotion, it's a strategy, and you have to choose to be liked by everyone or to be respected by those who matter, because one cancels the other. Those who seek approval always end up yielding, and those who yield stop being authority. The worst thing you can do is negotiate your principles for acceptance. It's the perfect formula for being despised without being told. They'll tell you they admire you, but they'll use you. They'll tell you they value you, but they'll trample you. Because those who do not impose respect become a doormat. It's that simple. There is a difference between being feared and being respected. Fear can be useful, but it's fragile. Respect, when built on consistency, is indestructible. But it requires a cold cruelty, that of upholding your limits even when it hurts, even when you want to forgive, even when you're alone, because that's when your power is measured, when no one sees you, and yet you do the right thing. Because you don't do it for others, you do it for yourself. Because you know that breaking your own rules is the beginning of the end. Respect starts when you don't allow yourself to betray yourself. Do you know what the difference is between those who lead and those who obey? That the former have earned respect for themselves. And that shows. It's felt, it's transmitted, and it drags. Because the world doesn't follow the nicest, it follows the most coherent. The one who never doubts, even when everyone else does. The one who punishes justly, rewards logically, and doesn't stray for cheap emotions. That person imposes, without raising their voice, without seeking attention. Because real respect, when it's real, doesn't need explanations. Here goes the truth no one wants to hear. If you are not respected, it's not the world's fault. It's yours. Because you taught them how to treat you. You were flexible when you had to be firm. You stayed silent when you had to speak. You forgave when you had to close the door. And now you live with the consequences. But here's the good news. You can change it, not tomorrow. Today. With every decision you make. With every rule you impose. With every limit you uphold. And you don't have to be cruel, just clear, consistent, firm, relentless. Respect is built like a wall, brick by brick, decision after decision. It's not fast, it's not easy, but it's eternal. And when you have it, you feel it, in how they look at you, in how they talk to you, in how they are careful not to cross the line. Because they know you do not hesitate. Because they know you do not forget. Because they know you do not give more than someone deserves. And that, in a soft and contradictory world, is pure gold. Machiavelli was not talking about evil. He was talking about power. And power is not dominating others. It's dominating yourself. Not being a slave to your emotions. Not letting yourself be carried away by guilt or fear. Being a block of marble in the midst of chaos. Being the one who imposes order in a world of grays. And that is not achieved with speeches. It is achieved with rules, with consequences, with respect earned, not asked. Ask yourself this question. How predictable are you? Do people know what you will do if they fail you? Or do they still believe you can forgive everything? Because there lies the core of respect, in being known so well that they dare not test your limit. Because they know there's no turning back, and yet they follow you. Because they know that if you are in their life, it's because you're worth it. Because you give only one chance, but when you give it, it's real. Because you punish without hate and forgive without weakness. Because your authority is not a mask, it's an extension of your identity. And here comes the last lesson. Not everyone deserves to be close to you. Respect is also selection. It's knowing who is proven to deserve your time, your energy, your trust, and ruthlessly removing those who haven't, not out of spite, out of self-preservation. Because respect starts with you. And if you don't respect yourself, no one else will. So stop justifying yourself. Stop negotiating your worth. Stop being accessible to those who have proven nothing. Apply the 3 rules: predictable punishment, fear of regret, and 1 window of redemption, and hold them, no matter who you lose. Because respect is not about having many, but about having the right ones. And the right ones always respect those who never betray themselves. Welcome to the real game. Here, the one who talks the most doesn't win. The one who holds the most does. And you decide, are you going to continue being ignored? Or are you going to become the authority that everyone prefers not to challenge? Respect is not asked for, it is imposed. And it is imposed in silence. Because here is where the part begins that almost no one has the courage to face. Most do not lose respect due to weakness. They lose it due to hunger. Hunger for attention, hunger for validation, hunger to be accepted. And in that silent need, they start to sell their power little by little. With every "it's okay" they say when it wasn't. With every smile they offer to someone who doesn't deserve it. With every time they stay silent to not make waves, even if that means swallowing their pride. And here's the point that twists the stomach. The respect that you do not give yourself, others discount it. If you act as if your presence were cheap, they will treat it as such. And the worst is that the hunger for validation is never satisfied. Because every time you sell yourself for a bit of acceptance, you feel worse about yourself. And then you seek more validation. It's a cycle, the cycle of the weak, the cycle of those who lose. And no matter how smart you are, how prepared you are, or how good your intentions are, if you do not master this hunger, you will continue to be surrounded by people who do not respect you, because they smell your need. And respect slips away when they detect that you need it more than they need you. Here comes another Machiavellian truth. Power is not based on how much you depend on others, but on how much they depend on you. And that is built, not with false superiority, not with posturing, but with real value, with knowing how to say no, with disappearing when you are not valued, with not responding to messages that only appear when it suits the other person, with choosing silence over drama. Respect feeds on detachment, from that ability that very few have, to leave without noise when the situation goes awry. Because the one who can leave has power, but the one who stays begging becomes a shadow. And we are not here to be shadows of anyone. Let's go further. Why is it so difficult to maintain personal authority over time? Because it's exhausting to sustain a standard when the environment is designed to lower it. Because living with clear rules makes you a threat to those who live with excuses. Because being coherent not only costs you energy, it also costs you relationships. And that's where many fold. They want respect, but they are not willing to lose. They don't understand that gaining authority involves losing comfort, that the price of being respected is high, but the price of being ignored is devastating. And then they fall, not suddenly, not with scandals, They fall little by little, with small concessions, with misplaced silences, with a, well, this time I'll let it go. And so respect dies. Not with an explosion, but with sighs, with omissions, with decisions disguised as diplomacy that, in reality, are fear wrapped in courtesy. Do you want another lethal mistake? Excessive empathy. Poorly managed empathy is a drug that destroys your center. It makes you understand everyone except yourself. It makes you justify the unjustifiable. He's had a bad day. He's going through a lot. It's not his fault. And you? How many times have you used your own story as an excuse to cross someone's boundaries? None, right? Because you know that what's right does not change according to your mood, but you allow it for others. Why? Because you still lack self-worth. Respect is not in how much you understand others. It's in how much you maintain yourself in what you are, even though you understand the other. That is the difference between a leader and a martyr. The leader understands, but does not betray themselves. The martyr gives in, justifies, burns alive so that others can warm their hands. And here's another piece that no one talks about: body language. No, it's not a cliché. It's pure psychology. The way you enter a room, the pace at which you speak, the silence you hold without anxiety, the gaze you do not evade, even the way you breathe. All of that screams who you are before you say a single word. Do you know who commands respect without speaking? The one who does not need to prove anything. The one who sits calmly, as if they were not in a hurry. The one who looks without seeking approval. The one who does not laugh out of commitment. Because that sends a silent message. I'm not here to please you. I'm here because I choose to be. And that imposes. True leaders are not noisy, they are dense. Their presence weighs, not because they intimidate, but because they do not vibrate with the same social anxiety as the rest. Because they do not chase after acceptance. Because they have made peace with the idea of being alone if necessary. And that gives them an advantage. At any table, in any game, in any war. And here is where you must ask yourself, how many times have you betrayed yourself just so they would not feel uncomfortable with you? How many times have you pretended to agree, silenced an opinion, softened a limit, simply to avoid friction? And what did you get in return? Nothing. Because people do not respect those who yield. They respect those who maintain. And do not confuse this with arrogance. It's not about going through life imposing yourself with shouts. It's about having who you are so clear that others understand it without needing you to explain it. Having principles as anchors, not as accessories. Sustaining your standard even if the entire world chooses to fall. And when you do this, something changes. Not in others. In you. Your energy changes. Your relationships get purified. Your time becomes sacred. And you start to move with another intention. You are no longer available for any plan, for any conversation, for any person. You become scarce. And what is scarce is respected. Remember this. Respect is not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. About becoming someone so firm, so predictable, so coherent, that the world has no choice but to treat you with the reverence you deserve. Not for what you shout, but for what you are. And now, the final question. Are you willing to lose whatever is necessary to become someone impossible to ignore? Because if you are not willing to do that, you are not ready for real respect. You are just ready to continue being part of the noise. And noise, at the end of the day, fades. Let's continue breaking this down, because there's still a lot of meat left. Do you know one of the most silent and dangerous ways to lose respect? Over-explanation. That sick need to justify everything you do. That habit of explaining your decisions, your limits, your no's, as if the other person had a right to constant accountability. Why do you do it? Because you fear seeming cold, because you fear being judged. But ironically, all you do is weaken your authority. The one who explains too much conveys doubt. The one who justifies begs for acceptance and real respect. Real respect is built on what you don't need to say. There is power in silence. There is strength in an unadorned no, without excuses, without empathy. It's simple. If something doesn't serve you, it ends. Period. You don't have to convince anyone. You are not an ambassador of your own decision. Think of someone you truly respect. Can you imagine them justifying themselves at every step? Trying not to hurt sensitivities? Asking for permission to have standards? You respect them precisely because their voice does not tremble. Because when they say, "This is how it is," you know it is. Without margin, without drama, without detours. And there is another modern poison of respect. Digital omnipresence. You're always available, always responding, always active, always online. And the worst? You do it for fear that someone will get upset if you don't show up. You are chained to the idea that responding quickly makes you considerate. It makes you predictable. And the predictable, when it is not firm, becomes dispensable. People respect what is hard to reach, what is not always available, what does not respond instantly, what does not surrender to the attention algorithm. Being accessible all the time turns you into landscape. You become part of the background, not the main character. And when you stop standing out, they start treating you like an extra in your own life. Here's a concept that very few handle: perceived value. And that has nothing to do with your talent, your intelligence, or your kindness. It has to do with how you manage your scarcity. If you are everywhere, if you opine on everything, if you say yes to every plan, your value dilutes. Not because you are not valuable, but because they cannot differentiate you from the rest. Do you know who impacts? The one who appears with precision. The one who is not there for everything, but when they appear, everything reorders. That one who is silent for weeks. But when they speak, the air changes. Because their word is not frequent, but it is definitive. Because their energy is not given away. It is earned. And that's another crucial point. Energy as a non-renewable resource. Most give it away as if they had an excess. They attend conversations that lead nowhere. They wear themselves out explaining their vision to those who will never understand it. They give themselves to people who do not know how to receive. And what happens next? They empty. They turn off. They become gray. And people cruelly respect less those who no longer shine. Your energy cannot be at the service of just anyone. It must be selective, strategic, surgical, and that hurts, because it implies disappointing. It implies not responding. It implies leaving on red. It implies being called arrogant, distant, cold. But it also implies staying whole, and that is worth more than any adjective they put on you. There's something deeper here. Respect is also born from how you treat your time. The one who respects their time forces the world to respect it as well. The one who is always late, who leaves everything for later, who is seeing if they can, sends a very clear signal. They don't even take themselves seriously. And if you are not punctual with your own goals, why would anyone else be with you? Punctuality is not just arriving on time. It's being where you have to be when you said you would be. With you, with your routines, with your values, with your plans. If you say you're going to the gym at 7 and end up watching TikTok until 8, what are you projecting? Exactly. That you are negotiable even to yourself. And now we come to something even more delicate. Respect is also destroyed when you beg for love. Yes, you read that right. Begging for love is one of the saddest ways to lose authority. And you do it when you tolerate minimal effort, when you accept half-hearted affection, when you celebrate crumbs as if they were delicacies. The problem is not that they don't love you as you deserve. The problem is that you accept that they do it their way, even though it breaks you. Respect starts in how you allow yourself to be loved, in how you define what is acceptable, in how you respond when someone is not up to your standards. And no, it's not about being demanding out of pride. It's about knowing what you're worth and not settling for less. Because every time you settle, the world takes note. And next time, they will offer you even less. There's something that those who impose respect know by heart. Love without standards is not love, it's attachment. And attachment is not respected, it's exploited. Do you want another harsh truth? Admiration precedes respect, and no one admires someone who gives in without limits. The world respects the one who holds back, the one who has the power to act but chooses not to use it immediately, the one who could explode but observes, the one who could beg but leaves. That type of self-control is magnetic. And this is not just philosophy, it's biology. The human brain associates firmness with leadership. The limbic system responds better to those who project security than to those who project need. It's that simple. We are animals, and animals respect those who lead with presence, not those who tremble to please. So here comes the closure, for now. Your respect is not in your words, nor in your appearance, nor in your achievements. It's in how you handle conflict, in how you remain firm when everything shakes, in how you are capable of saying, "This is not enough for me," even though you're dying to stay. And if you do it right, you won't need to shout, you won't need to beg, you won't need to fight, because people will know from the very first second. That is true power, and no one can take it from you. Only you can give it away. Are you going to keep giving it away? Or are you, once and for all, going to hold your crown in silence? We're almost at the end. But right now is when you need to pay more attention. Because what you're about to hear is not a conclusion, it's a door. Look, what no one told you is that respect is not something you achieve once and for all. It's not a medal, it's not a trophy. It's a daily, silent war, where your biggest enemy is you, your tendency to yield, your desire to please, your fear of loss, your thirst to be accepted. True respect is not maintained by inertia. It is defended every day, with every word you choose not to say, with every limit you decide to maintain, with every person you choose to let go. And there's an idea you need to etch into your soul. People will always treat you as you teach them to. If you show weakness, they'll use it. If you show need, they'll exploit it. But if you show integrity, if you show that your presence is a privilege, not an obligation, they will behave up to the task, or they will walk away. And if they walk away, better. Because one of the most radical acts of respect is learning to be alone without feeling empty. Being respected is not about having many applauding you. It's about having a few, but who would never dare to cross your lines. And here comes the final twist. The most powerful thing you can do to be respected is not to need to be respected. It's to do the right thing even if no one sees it. It's to maintain your principles even if no one recognizes them. It's to walk straight when everyone else crawls. Because at that moment, when you are capable of sustaining yourself alone, without witnesses, without likes, without applause, that's when the entire universe starts to pay attention to you. Not because you made noise, but because you became unstoppable. So here ends this journey, but your personal war begins. You know what you have to do. You know where you're failing. And most importantly, you know that respect is not demanded. It's built, it's lived, it's imposed with presence, with contained power, with brutal coherence. And now I want you to do something. If you've made it this far, you didn't just listen, you understood. And that puts you above 90% of those who only seek easy entertainment. So I want you to leave in the comments this phrase: I will be respected for what I do not negotiate. That way I'll know you're part of those who are really ready to change the game. Subscribe, because what's coming is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to stop being spectators and start becoming architects of their own respect. And remember this: you didn't come into this world to beg for attention. You came to build a presence so firm that even in silence, it discomforts. See you in the next video. Or not. Because those who truly respect their time choose carefully who they give their attention to. You'll know. Close this screen, or let what you just heard stay with you forever.